Welcome to Apropos, the show that you can join live on Discord and watch later on YouTube. We'll maybe change that in the near future.
Google.
We talk about Clojure and jump into a REPL. So if you are interested in this, welcome. And we have a full crew today, plus one. So today we have Mia, Ray,
Hello.
Mike,
Hi there.
I'm Eric, and we have a special guest today. Can you believe it? Martin, say hi.
Hello.
This is Martin Kavalar. How do you pronounce it?
Kavalar, yeah.
Yeah, wow, I got it. Great. Thanks for
Can I
joining
just
us.
I must admit, I thought it was Martin Kevlar because his code is bulletproof.
Whoa.
Whoa.
All right. How long were you working on that one, Ray?
Well, yeah. I realized afterwards that it's Kavalar and he's not going to be heir to the Kevlar fortune, but still, he's a nice guy.
They're distant cousins.
Yeah.
So Martin has some stuff to show us today. We might get to that later or now. What should we do that first? We didn't really plan this out.
I think let's because Mark, we can discuss a bit about the news and stuff as we agreed, and then we can spend the rest of the show like 10 minutes or something just talking about shit, catch up, give people a bit of a heads up about what's going on.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah. So ClojureD was this weekend, right?
Yeah, two people were there, me and Martin,
Yeah.
and he even presented there.
That's
Wow.
It's been a long time since you've been.
What was your talk about, Martin?
It wasn't.
Was it
actually-
live? It was online, right?
Yeah, it was using
Yeah.
Gather.
Okay.
So you were like an 8-bit video game character?
Exactly. Actually,
Is it cool? I've heard mixed things about it.
I don't know. I got into a few actual hallway chats with Martin and some of his colleagues and some other people as well. So, and it was actually all right. Yeah, I think it was. For me, anyway, I think it was pretty good. What did you think, Martin?
Yeah, also, I think it worked surprisingly well. Yeah.
Your microphone issues are coming back again, Mia.
You sound like a cool Cylon from the 80s. That's awesome.
Like the NSA in the house, and you're masking your voice.
Yeah, I wonder about those online conferences. I don't think I have the patience maybe to attend them. So many distractions here at home.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
I don't want to be staring at a screen all day.
It'll be a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah. Part of the fun for me of going to conferences is that like it's kind of a vacation. Like I'm away from home, away from the kids, and
Yeah.
I can I don't know, just not worry about stuff for a while. No responsibilities. Having to
Yeah,
watch
have a good
talks
idea.
and sorry, go ahead.
Another Clojure sync.
Maybe one day. I'm not ruling it out, but I have no plans right now.
I guess that was an example of a conference that wasn't a holiday.
Yeah, definitely not for me. It was fun to put on though. I had a lot of fun. I think if I were to do it again, or even plan on doing it again, I wouldn't do it without sponsorship. I think that for everyone I've talked to is like, oh yeah, the sponsors make it break even, and then the ticket sales are, just on top of that. And I just did it with ticket sales, and so I just didn't know how much money I was going to make or whether I was going to break even or until the last minute. So if I had a sponsor that would kind of cover that, I just didn't have any luck getting sponsorship. So, so maybe if there's a sponsor out there who wants to have a cool conference in New Orleans, cover the expenses, send your team out. That'd be cool.
Just for $50,000, they'll do it.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Can I
No,
just remind,
it's not that expensive.
can I just remind people in real time that there's a chat called the live show chat, and if you want to talk about what's going on in real time, you can join and type into this live show chat, and we'll do our best to respond. When we're going to do some demos later, you can put questions for like Martin about the notebook he's going to show. So just be aware now that we've got that chat channel. It's called Live Show Chat. It's a little talking head there. So just a bit of housekeeping there for the people who are watching live. Back to you, Eric.
Oh, well, I was going to ask for the two of you who attended ClojureD. I heard the videos are coming soon, but like, what were some of the cool things that were announced or talked about?
Well, I think I'll talk about like the general thing, and then maybe Martin can talk about some specifics around his company. The general thing, big news, if you like, was that Alex Miller was there, and he gave a talk about some additional build tools for tools depths. So now they're going to have like more official support for jarring files for building programs, basically, rather than just like running programs.
JVM. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a little. If I remember rightly, in the summary, there's like a toolkit extension to tools depths, so you can integrate external tools into tools depths through the configuration file. So he gave a few examples of how to do that using jar files, and I think maybe I don't know if he did CLJ Condo, but then you can imagine those kind of things being integrated.
Yes, CLJ, was it CLJ new or?
Oh yeah, that's CLJ new, the new thing from Sean Cornfield, yeah.
So you can install tools kind of as under a given name, and you say install this tool as new, and then you can invoke it from CLJ.
Oh, that's
cool.
cool.
With a -T for tool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eventually without letters, but this is pretty good. Yeah.
So today, that's, I guess, mostly accomplished through aliases that have, the ability to pass things on the command line to a command line tool, but this would be more.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a general idea. You can do it globally then as well, and you can. Sorry, Martin.
Yeah, I think that's the main point, that it's outside of like a project alias and kind of a way for tools steps to find these things globally.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. It's good to know they're working on that stuff.
Yeah, I think he said it will be out like in alpha or for preview or whatever blah 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 term they're using these days for in a few weeks. So that's good. But that was the big announcement, sort of, I think, for the wider Clojure community in terms of what's going to change to the main tool chain.
Cool.
And there were some things. There were some Nextjournal people talking. At least there was 2 talks I noticed, but maybe there were more, Martin. I don't know.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Okay.
So Philippa showed off kind of our redesign and command bar, which we can also maybe take a look later. That's about making stuff more discoverable and surfacing keyboard shortcuts that are important depending on the context you're in. And then, I presented Clerk, kind of my attempt of trying to get my team to use notebooks, which I failed at so far in this online thing. people just keep using their regular editors. So this is a library that, where you can keep using Emacs or IntelliJ or whatever, and get notebooks out when you change the regular Clojure namespace.
Wait, can you explain it a little more? It's like a way of generating a notebook from your editor?
Yeah, so you edit a Clojure namespace in your editor, and the format is just a regular Clojure namespace, and kind of line comments are parsed as Markdown. And then you have a file watcher, and when you save the file, it kind of reloads the thing and has like kind of a dependency graph built in, so it only reevaluates the things that changed. And reloading is fast, even if you have some things that are slow to evaluate. If you haven't touched them, and then you get a similar notebook out as we'll see in a bit on the platform.
Cool.
Yeah, and there was some other talks about there was a Paula Guiron gave a talk about a graph database that she's been working on, which is really impressive stuff. And to be honest, I should have prepared a bit more. I've forgotten half the talks, and I was so.
I was very looking forward to the talks, but I like to watch them on YouTube later when I don't have to be on a particular schedule. So yeah.
The last SOC would like to know a little bit more about why we would like to make a note out of our editor. Some of the advantages. The advantage of the notebook being that it can have extra graphics more than text. I guess we will get into that. I'm actually very curious about this exporting from your editor to a note. I'd like you to.
Yeah, so I think the advantages is this going beyond text and being able to drill down into your data and like compare to like say a REPL session that you see all the outputs without having to manually run them, and then definitely getting kind of rich visualizations. So being able to generate plots like with Vega or Plotly or and also hiccup output. That also works.
Interesting.
So.
And then can this be, I don't know, exported to a web page or something? How do you get it out there to the world?
Yeah, so not yet, but that's definitely a plan that you can. We want to have this as a thing that kind of runs on as a kind of CI-like thing, and then produces these static web pages out of these Clojure namespaces.
I think the other thing about a notebook is, you're looking at the local notebook for Clojure, but obviously you could have other bits and pieces from different languages as well eventually in your notebook. So if you wanted to do some different kind of processing with Python or R or Julia.
Yeah.
Which is not probably relevant to the local notebook, but is to the general notebook.
Yeah, we have plans to kind of take the also provide this kind of a markdown based local notebook for the Nextjournal stuff we have. But so Clerk is really about kind of being in process in your Clojure process and having access to all your other code kind of on the class path and
Very cool. I
just a couple of things, and I looked at the schedule now to remind myself. And,
good.
there's a talk from Peter Stromberg about Calva, so that was really interesting about the internals of how Calva works with VS Code. And Bork Dude, of course, is ever present. Should have remembered that. He's created another 400 tools this week. And he gave a talk about the small closure interpreter, which I think is a total work of art. Personally, it's I know that we'll actually be using it. I think your REPL uses SCI, doesn't it, Martin?
Yeah, it's also powering the Clerk kind of. So the rendering in Clerk works via side that we kind of send just the data structure off to the browser via WebSocket, and you can define you can send functions over the WebSocket just as lists, and then Sci evaluates them. And this way we don't need a ClojureScript REPL connection that we need to maintain, but
Awesome. So he's putting out a job, Mike, I'm afraid. No, not really. He needs the ClojureScript interpreter there.
Anytime Bork Dude's involved.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that was really interesting. Yeah, and there was another one about about something called Fiatomic, which was replacing Datomic with Data Hike and Firebase. I don't think I'd like to do that, but okay. I prefer Crux, but okay. I mean, they have some interesting use cases, for sure. And then the other one was Jordan Miller. She gave a talk about SICP stuff into ClojureScript code, which was pretty impressive. And then Bozhidar Batsov, the Emacs guy. I don't give a fuck about what he says, so who cares? Maybe someone else who cares could answer that, Martin.
Man, burn.
No, of course. Bozhidar also, he just gives fantastic talks. He's such a lovely guy. And that's it. I think that's pretty much the rest of the talks. Yeah.
Cool.
But I think overall, pretty good fun. It was online. I think the online tool worked quite well. There's some really great talks. So, thumbs up. I mean, I think we all agree that in person is better, but I think it was okay.
Oh, I can't wait for the cons to open up again. That will be a big reunion.
Well, Strange Loop is happening.
Yes.
Talking of celebrations, I read that it was 10 years of ClojureScript.
That's right. 10 years. Can you believe it?
You
that
don't look
is crazy.
30, Mike. I do have a 5, I mean.
I remember when it happened, and it was weird. Because 10 years ago in JavaScript land is like 1,000 years elsewhere. That was like people were still using Backbone and stuff and jQuery, and people were complaining that ClojureScript wasn't based on jQuery.
And everyone was shitting the bed about, oh my god, what is this Google Clojure compiler?
Yeah.
I still haven't heard of it. It's still working.
And everyone was using Bower and Yeoman and all these things that I don't know if people still use. NPM was like a little baby. There were like 4 packages on it.
I think it was only on the server side at that point.
Oh, for NPM?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was no like packager yet.
Well, it was just for Node. I mean, NPM stands for Node Package Manager, not for everything Package Manager.
And Package Manager.
Everything. What did you say, yeah?
Not a number Package Manager. Damn package manager.
Man.
Yes, burn. Yes.
Want Ray
Okay,
to
enough
just follow me around, and every
JavaScript.
time I make a lukewarm joke, he says burn.
It's not your nan's job, that one. Yeah. Anyway, blah, blah, blah.
But I think ClojureScript has like a really amazing development experience compared to regular JavaScript. It's crazy because I mean, back then, like I remember I was working at a company and we would just cat JavaScript files together.
Okay.
And that was our deploy script. You just
I
do
believe
like
that's a optimization level now. Yeah. There is a, if I'm not wrong, Mike, is that simple optimization? That's what that does?
Maybe white space or yeah. I mean, yeah.
no, it wasn't. I mean, what we were doing was just
concatenate them.
we would download all the files, like whatever JavaScript files we needed, jQuery and other stuff, and we'd get the min version, right, so that it wouldn't be too big, and then we would maybe change the names of them so that they would change the order, like put a 0, 0, 0, 1 in front of it. And then we would just do cat asterisk.js, pipe it to, final.js, and then include that in our. Yeah, it worked.
It did something, yeah.
I hope they're still not doing that. Like they should have upgraded by now. I don't work at the company anymore, but I hope they upgraded.
Yeah, so there we go. 10 years.
10 years.
Ooh, user The Last Sock with another really good question in the live show chat. So why SCI?
Okay. This is because when you're using, what he does is this is for so if you want to use Clojure, if you want to interpret Clojure code in the Graal VM, then you've got a problem because whenever you do eval, it generates classes. So it's fine on the JVM, obviously, but if you've compiled your thing to a native image on Graal VM, then you lose the ability to generate classes at runtime. So what SCI is a mechanism through which you can essentially read Clojure code and evaluate it. And what it does is essentially just call Clojure functions under the hood. So that's why it's an interpreter, because it doesn't use eval. It just calls the core functions, like map, all the core stuff. So yeah, it's
so this is something.
Like the footprint is a bit lighter as well compared to self-hosted ClojureScript, because you can advanced compile SCI, and whereas self-hosted you need to use simple compilation and then get quite a big, I think a few megs, right?
And so this could be used to write scripts in Clojure, but it has a fast startup time. That's the idea.
Yeah, well, the idea is that you should be able to use like you should be able to write scripts in Clojure. So like in Babashka, you want to read Clojure programs off the command line and evaluate them.
Okay.
You can't do that.
I mean, I take your word for it. I've never wanted to do that, but you're like make your own REPL like in Babashka?
No, as a bash replacement. So we have all our ops tooling is now in Babashka, and so we can use regular Clojure code, call functions, organize stuff in namespaces, and
Right. Gotcha. Well, that's actually pretty cool.
It is very cool. Yeah, he's not a bad bloke. This Bork dude fellow. You know, he's doing some interesting shit.
So the idea is like he took Clojure, he compiled it to what's it called, Graal, and then
He wrote a meta
wrote
circular
a new
evaluator.
eval. Yeah, he wrote a new eval that like bottoms out in Clojure functions
Yes,
that are
essentially.
actually compiled. Okay, that makes
Yeah, yeah.
sense. So that should be pretty fast. I mean, that should probably be as fast as Bash. You know, Bash is
It's at least as fast
an
as Bash.
interpreted language.
Yeah, I think what he says is the only thing that's, I mean, like everything else, you know, it's got its limits. So if you don't want to do like machine learning in Babashka, but if you're doing like, unless you've got a lot of tight loops or something where you have a lot of these vowels, then it will be pretty much, you know, the runtime cost of Babashka over standard Clojure is pretty small. You know, you wouldn't notice it. But obviously, like you
Right.
said, it starts up in 10 milliseconds, so that's the win.
That's cool.
So I wonder how.
And like Sai on ClojureScript.
Go on, Mike.
Yeah, so Sai in ClojureScript is also pretty interesting because like you can have like normally like with Clojure compiler and advanced you have this closed world, right? So you can't add anything to it because advanced will make all the data structures talk differently, and with Sai you get a way out of this, and then you have your advanced compiled stuff that's as fast as regular ClojureScript because it is just that. And with Sai, you can still interop with it because Sai is also just using the advanced compiled data structures than in ClojureScript.
Interesting.
Wait, so it's ClojureScript? I don't understand.
It's both. It's CLJC code.
Oh.
Yes.
So if you, if you feed it a def in, can it take?
It's a whole
compile it down.
new Clojure interpreter.
So if you interpret a function definition, does it call functions to like?
If you deafen something,
How does that work?
no, if you deafen something like outside, it can compile it, but if you deafen it, then it will just create a named function. Yeah, that's part of the interpreter.
Okay.
The interpreter has some type that it can understand, I suppose.
No, I think the like Sai always interprets stuff, but
Yes.
your kind of predefined functions that you ship with in our case, with our regular ClojureScript app, that's kind of precompiled to JavaScript, and that's fast. And then kind of what the user defines, like the functions the user defines, those will be interpreted and slower. And what you add later will be slower, but the other stuff.
So if you have
the stuff that's known ahead of time is fast.
Side, and then when it comes time to call that, it would interpret that definition. Yeah. Or interpret it.
Yeah, when new stuff, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it reinterprets it every time. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Seems like that model would work.
Next is he's gonna do a JIT or some kind of like VM written in Graal.
Yeah. Well, you know, you can run Java inside of Graal, so in theory you could do that.
Yeah, what's it called? Espresso or something, right? Or
Truffle, I think.
I'm curious about stuff like.
But I talked to Mikhail about this, and you know, well, anyway, we're turning into the SciShow. Let's have it one time, okay? We want to get to Martin stuff.
Talk when it comes out.
Anything else?
So what's next? Well, on our show notes we have Alex Miller posted a blog post, and he called it DREF, and he said that it would be a periodic link/news roundup. And there's some interesting stuff in there, but I think even more interesting is that maybe this would happen regularly. I haven't read any of the stuff in there, so can't speak to it. But I think it's awesome that we got yet another source of news from someone who's like tapped into
Yeah,
everything.
it's a nice signal from kind of like, the official channels saying, oh, like things are happening. Here they are on a regular basis. Like that's a good positive signal for community health and activity.
Yeah,
And makes sense.
for sure.
Because then we know.
Right. That's enough of Alex. Let's get Martin's stuff up.
Yeah, it's time. So we're going to be in Nextjournal today, which is pretty cool. Are you sharing, Ray?
I will, yeah.
So I heard the little bleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you click on the little people up at the top right.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Participants.
Yep.
Oh.
Participants in the live next to him,
The little live button.
next to Ray. Yep.
Watch the stream. Oh, man. Okay, I can see it now.
As usual, it's always different every time we do it. They move the button.
Yeah, I can't keep up with Discord.
Okay.
Martin, I'm going to be your robot, Martin. So if you want to take over, like talking about what this thing is first.
Oh, what is this thing?
Well, maybe I should give like a 5 minutes on what Nextjournal is, maybe, and then we can dive into what this specific thing is.
Yeah, so Nextjournal is a computational notebook platform, and like we kind of started out with the goal of making scientific papers reproducible, so you can share not just kind of the writing as a PDF with some images, but kind of share your whole analysis behind it. And I guess after a couple of years in, we're kind of focusing more on the programming side, and Clojure is becoming more and more important to us. And I think that's what we're gonna look at now, right? If you kind of open the first notebook you have there, then we're kind of in a shared Clojure REPL that we can all access. And I guess zooming in a bit might also be good for folks. Can you just the browser zoom with, and so I can also type stuff here, which you should see.
That's what we do, yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us what's going on here? This is a Clojure instance, like a JVM instance running on the server, and we're all able to type into it.
Yes, so that's there's a Clojure process running, and we're on our server. We kind of get our own instance, and when you first start this, we provision an instance for you, and we keep some idle ones around. Then we can execute cells here, and this is kind of the same thing that would happen when you evaluate something in your editor. Get sent yeah, basically there's a REPL running which we send to forms. And yeah, somebody did a reset, I think now, kind of, yeah, rebooting the process, looks like. So now it's
whenever anybody presses like Shift Enter to run, or whatever the keyboard binding is locally, whenever you press this run button or this play button, the whole thing gets reevaluated. Is that right? Or
no, just the cell. Like, so you can evaluate the cell, or I guess we'll. Or also just, so I can also, like, I have my cursor behind the 3 now, or behind the vector thing.
Yes.
Now it's behind the 3, so I can run the form at the point as well. And yeah, or run the whole cell with kind of command enter. And
I've already accidentally deleted my cell once by typing delete or backspace. Yep.
all right, we should be able to get your cell back.
Well, no. Now I want to delete it on purpose.
So these are making like round trips to the server and then syncing all the browsers.
Yes. This is like a WebSocket connection that we're sending the forms over.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I think that this kind of thing, I always wanted to use this kind of. Whoa, that is cool.
Ooh.
I always wanted to use this kind of thing because, you know, it's easier for visualizing and there's kind of a better record of how I did the thing than like even editing code in a namespace. Like one analysis I wanted to do was of the Stack Overflow 2019 data that showed that Clojure was like the, you know, highest paying language. If you got a job in Clojure, you were like all the way up at the top. I just wanted to know, like, did they really do their analysis right? I want to do their and this seems like the kind of thing where I could actually do it, because I did play with the data locally in a REPL, but it's kind of hard to visualize. It's hard to really understand what you got.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good use case for it.
And then this, you could also just like publish it, right? You could just make the journal public. Is that right?
Yeah, so you can publish it, and then others can go and remix it. Kind of, yeah, like same as forking. Yeah.
So they can be like, oh, well, you should use this formula instead, and like that'd be awesome. That's really cool.
And so the nice thing, the thing I think that's just really tremendous about it as well is that it's a no install experience where, you know, okay, you're not doing like whole projects, but it's a no install experience just to get like quite straightforward. Any namespace that you want to play with, you can just play with one namespace and probably get quite a lot done in namespace. And off you go. I guess in your cells, can you define 2 namespaces, Martin? How does that work?
Yeah, so you can you can use in NS calls, or like we don't send a namespace before evaluating it. Yeah, so that will work. And or you can put a namespace declaration in.
This is so nice for diffing things. It folds all of your so you know when the return when what diff returns is actually really hard to sort through the bigger it gets. And since this folds up all your little vectors, you can fold them up when you're done.
Mm.
Oh, this is so nice. I usually have to wrap my diffs in, whatever stupid formatter I can come up with right there so I can read them. This is a treat.
I think
Yeah,
if
this
you
is
remember
really cool.
the Portal stuff as well from Chris Badada, he's all the Portal stuff also has a lot of this tree stuff. So there's a lot of work from like people like Martin and Chris and other guys like Vlad who do Reveal. There's a lot of work going on in this space, default representation of data. So we're living in good times, people. But yeah, this is really nice.
So, on like a security level, some of the stuff that I'm going to be working with is proprietary for my work. So let's say that I made a new notebook in Nextjournal and I pasted in a bunch of stuff that I wanted to just run a diff on. Does Nextjournal store the data that I put? Like, am I putting company data onto someone else's servers? What happens?
Yeah. So what you write in the notebook kind of gets stored in Datomic in our database. Like any files you upload, also we put them in a Google bucket. But we do have an on-prem installation. Like if you need to run, like if you have data that can't leave your company or your premises, we can run in an instance in your thing.
Well, also this.
Oh, okay. So I can
Clerk
make my own
sounds
instance
like
of
it might work
Nextjournal?
for it as well.
Sorry?
So, is this something that we can make
Clerk.
local instances of?
So the local thing doesn't. That's something we're working on. Currently, we have like a paid product kind of on-premise installation. And can also share this. Put it in the chat. One sec.
Ray, can you scroll down so that the chat can see? I have an error to show them. So that's I tried to do Clojure.data without requiring it. So the chat wants to know what errors look like.
Right.
So
Okay, yeah.
You can even get people to help you as well.
Yeah, and I saw Martin in there. His little face.
just gonna ask Martin to read all my stack traces.
There he is. There he is at the end. He's busy now, guys. Sorry. Thank you.
Oh, this is really cool. Really cool. Now, it doesn't have the thing where, let's say, I'm going to edit one. I did mine. I did def. And I call this evens. And then somehow someone else is using that variable now. As I change evens, it's not going to update the other stuff, right?
No.
Now
So
I can understand.
that's something that I'm doing. In Clerk, kind of keep a dependency graph of the vars and kind of figuring out what needs to change if a var changes. But no, here it's just kind of you control what you want to evaluate and you choose if you want to run just one cell or the whole thing. Kind of you have full control over your evaluation, like in your editor here.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
I can understand
there's also
why the editor to notebook export the use case for. This is
can
this would be
also
incredibly useful for sharing REPLs.
I think some things, or no, this. If you want, I can also share my screen and we can take a look at Clerk.
Sure, yeah, let's get rid of that one.
Right. Do you see that?
No.
No.
I do. Yeah. Oh wait. I see
Wait.
infinite mirror. Let's see.
Now you see it or don't.
Let's see.
Yeah. Whoa. It's gone.
No, it doesn't seem. It doesn't seem to. Let me try to get it up here on the right desktop. All right, is that better?
No, it's the same screen.
No.
Sharing Discord itself, maybe.
Okay.
That's if I had to guess.
Did I? Wait. Okay. So screens, entire screen. There we go. So that's better, right? Is it?
Let's see.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Entire screen. Yeah.
Okay. And
Okay.
so yeah, here's Emacs on the left and kind of my browser with the output on the right. And you see so I can evaluate stuff in Emacs normally here. And as I save the buffer, this gets reloaded immediately. And this would also work if I have a so say I have a slow thing here. And now this will take 2 seconds, right, until it's showing up. But now as I further edits are passed because and we can look at kind of how this works as well. So we kind of we parse the namespace using rewrite CLJ. So this is kind of a notebook going over how Clerk works. And we get these kind of vectors with markdown and code out. And then we build kind of this dependency graph of the vars. So for each code cell, we look at kind of what vars does it depend on, and then we kind of descend into those and see where they're coming from, and then we compute a hash kind of for each form that we find, and use that to cache the thing. And in the end, we can evaluate only the stuff we haven't evaluated yet. And so you can see that it's a bit nicer to read, right? Like than the comments in the source code, and you get kind of this rich viewer API. So, and the kind of, can I show here? So this is kind of Rule 30 and this cellular automata, but you don't really see what's going on here. But when I activate these viewers, oops. So now we're saying display the numbers as these little cells. And now vectors as kind of this row. And lastly, if I say, draw this list as a board, this is what I get.
cool. Yeah.
And
Cool.
This is really nice. Yeah.
And this is also, this is all powered by Borgdude's Psi as well. So these things are sent over the WebSocket as data and then evaluated with Psi in the browser.
Oh.
All right. Come back here.
Wow, very impressive. My mind is kind of racing with. What do you see people doing? What's the most interesting stuff?
Can I just, before he answers that question, the most interesting stuff is that we're going to be using this for our shared rep. So, everything else is going to be secondary. Obviously, Martin, just, just be clear on that.
Usage, we'd be happy to see some more, I guess. Karen Meyer did some pretty cool stuff, with also this libpython CLJ stuff from Chris Nürnberger. Can put this in the chat as well. And we're starting to see, definitely starting to see some interesting stuff, but also would be happy to see a lot more for sure. Kind of, usage, could be better. And adoption.
There's the data science in Clojure seems like, to me, it's just picking up steam a little bit in the last sort of year. There's an organized group now, and maybe the support for more data science will accelerate. And I mean, this tool being there is going to be a perfect foil for that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm also I haven't seen this talk. I think that Chris Nürnberger is doing a lot of good work. And there's I think a talk that came out yesterday, on data science in Clojure, where I think he's reaching kind of Julia levels of performance. And that seems really impressive when I play with this.
So we get a question from Dazzler in the chat. So this wonderful makes sense for purely functional code. Have you had experiments with handling side effects?
Yeah, so you can on the side effect stuff, you can opt out of the caching for code that has side effects. Currently, but we let you opt out. So currently, when you have side effect in code and you want this to always be run, you can kind of put some metadata on it to say, don't cache this.
Right.
And this SIGM utils also, this is definitely that's definitely also one of the coolest stuff we have on the platform. This is this kind of mathematical or kind of an adaptation of SCM utils from Sussman and a Clojure version of this. And this we worked with Sam Ritchie there to get that running, also using Psi. And that's definitely a lot of impressive math and physics stuff you can do with this.
It's putting the Psi into data science. Yeah, this is really fantastic, though, Martin. I think the effort is fantastic. Great support for the general community. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. This is awesome.
Cool.
I'm definitely looking forward to playing with this.
Yeah, well, we're going to be playing with it every few weeks from now on.
I really like the idea to share REPLs. I think there's a fantastic business case for this, especially in remote.
Yeah. Just a small side point, by the way. I think it's worth, before we kind of wrap up, it's worth discussing that this REPL is powered by CodeMirror, and specifically CodeMirror version 6. And I think you had some interactions with the author of CodeMirror, in fact, because he changed the version 5 to version 6, and he made version 6 functional. He made it using immutable data structures. And can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so CodeMirror 6 is definitely like it's the thing that has enabled kind of a really good experience for the first time. Like with CodeMirror or with everything else there was before in the browser was always kind of not so good. It would break down kind of when you had larger files. And yeah, CodeMirror 6 is it's a complete rewrite. I think Marine worked on this for 3 years up to now. It's I think he's about to release kind of version 1.0, and yeah, it's got this really fast kind of incremental parsing library that's kind of and his take on kind of the tree sitter idea. That's an incremental parser written in C, I believe, and he's ported that to JavaScript, and it's kind of his own take on it. So yeah, this can now handle really huge files, and when you make a change, it's really fast to update. And like you're saying, the whole model is kind of it's functional. So similar to what you have in React or Reframe, that kind of you dispatch a transaction that changes the internal state. All the data structures are immutable, and then the editor re-renders. And he does this without, I think he has like one external dependency in CodeMirror that's a kind of the style mod library that he's himself written, and everything it's handcrafted, like the immutable data structures. And he's also used to be a common Lisp person, Marine.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And, he's doing incredible work. And I mean, CodeMirror is used basically in every browser, right? It powers kind of the view source, and web inspector stuff is all CodeMirror. Like when you edit CSS and markup,
like the console and everything, the JavaScript console.
Yeah, definitely. You like when you change CSS attributes and kind of when you make changes to the DOM in the view source. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing update actually. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think also was took him longer than he expected, and he's did it pretty much on his own. I think it's it's really well done.
And I think the other thing is that you've made a closure mode because the nice thing about CodeMirror is it supports like 50 or 100 different languages, but there was never a closure mode for it, but now there is.
Yeah, and that's something like Matt Hubert did most of the work on this, who also did the Maria Cloud, and so he did the structural editing stuff, and really happy with how that turned out. And so that's Nextjournal Closure Mode is an open source library that folks can use if you want to get this in your app.
Fantastic, cool. Right. Shall we wrap it up, Eric?
Yeah, I think so. Remember, we are. I know we're all. I'm like deep in these notebooks now. We are on Discord now, so if you're wondering how to watch this live, join us on Discord. There'll be a link in the YouTube description there, and get in here. We chat. The chat's open all the time, so even when we're not broadcasting, it's also the best way to figure out when the next live show is going to be. So, yeah, we want you to join us. We'll be here. I want to thank our guest, Martin. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was a
And
pleasure.
thanks for watching, everybody. See you later. Bye.